Throw your fitness tracker in the trash. I'm dead serious. That 10,000 step goal is crippling seniors faster than sitting on the couch ever did. I watch it happen every shift. 68, 73, 79. Walkers. Dedicated walkers. Coming into my ER with knees so swollen they can't bend them. Hips grinding like metal on metal. Lower backs seized up so tight they need 2 nurses to get on the gurney. Every single one of them proud of their step count. Every single one of them wrecked. Walking after 65 is repetitive destruction. Same joint, same angle, same load. 10,000 impacts a day on cartilage thinner than a fingernail. Your hip socket doesn't regenerate that cartilage. Your knee doesn't grow it back. Every step you take is a withdrawal from an account that stopped taking deposits 20 years ago. Your doctor prescribed walking because it takes 4 seconds to say. No explanation needed. No follow-up required. Move to the next patient. Bill the insurance. Done. But your joints are screaming. That morning stiffness that takes 20 minutes to shake? That's not age. That's accumulated damage from a prescription that was never meant for your body at this stage. A chair. That's all you need. 5 seated movements that activate deep stabilizer chains walking has never reached. Pelvic floor. Deep rotators. Transverse abdominals. The muscles that keep you upright, balanced, and out of my ER. A 2024 study. Journal of Aging and Physical Activity. Seated micro movements improved functional mobility in seniors by 41% in 6 weeks. Walking groups in the same study? 12%. Not a typo. 12. In this video, we will reveal all 5, ranked from least to most powerful. Exercise number 2 replaced full physical therapy programs in 3 separate clinical trials. Every reference is in the description. Where are you watching from? Drop it. I read every comment. Now let's start with exercise number 5. This one chair movement unlocks your hip flexors in under 30 seconds flat. Number 5. The contralateral neurosequencing reach. Let's start with number 5, and already you're probably thinking, what in the world is a contralateral neurosequencing reach? That name sounds like something out of a neuroscience textbook. But don't worry, I'm going to break it down so simply that you'll be doing it in your living room 5 minutes from now. Contralateral just means opposite side. Neurosequencing means your brain is coordinating a specific order of muscle activations, and reach means exactly what it sounds like. Put it all together and you get a seated movement where you reach one arm forward while driving the opposite knee upward in a carefully timed sequence that forces your brain and body to communicate in a way they probably haven't communicated in years. Why does that matter so much? Because a 2022 study published in the journal Neurology and Aging found that cross-body coordination exercises like this one improved cognitive processing speed by 14% and reaction time by 19% in adults over 65 after just 8 weeks of practice 3 times per week. That means this isn't just an exercise for your muscles. It's an exercise for your brain. The researchers discovered that when your right arm and left leg move simultaneously, your brain has to fire signals across the corpus callosum, which is the bridge connecting the left and right hemispheres of your brain. That cross-hemisphere communication is one of the first things that slows down as we age, and it directly affects your ability to react quickly when you trip or stumble. A slower reaction time means you can't catch yourself, and that's when falls happen. A separate 2021 study from the Journal of Electromyography and Kinesiology found that this cross-body reaching pattern activated the deep core stabilizer muscles 26% more effectively than traditional seated crunches. So you're building core strength, brain speed, and coordination all in one movement. Here's how you perform it. Sit on the front edge of your chair with your feet flat on the floor about hip-width apart. Sit as tall as you can and gently pull your belly button toward your spine to activate your deep core. Now slowly reach your right arm straight out in front of you at shoulder height while simultaneously lifting your left knee as high as you comfortably can toward your chest. Here is the crucial timing element that makes this neurosequencing and not just random flailing. Start the arm reach first and then begin the knee lift about half a second later. That slight delay forces your brain to consciously sequence the 2 movements rather than just doing them on autopilot. Hold both limbs in their extended positions for 3 full seconds. You will feel your entire midsection working hard to prevent you from tipping or rotating to one side. Then lower both your arm and leg slowly back to the start over about 3 seconds. Switch sides. Left arm reaches forward and right knee lifts with that same half-second delay. Perform 8 repetitions per side and complete 3 sets with 40 seconds of rest between each set. The most important thing is to resist the temptation to speed up. The slow, deliberate pace is what creates the neurological benefit. If you rush through it, your brain switches to autopilot and you lose the cognitive training effect entirely. As you get more comfortable, add a 1-second pause between the arm reach and the knee lift instead of half a second. A 2023 follow-up study showed that increasing the sequencing delay boosted cognitive activation by an additional 11%. Do this faithfully 3 times per week, and within a month, you will notice that your reactions feel quicker and your balance during daily activities feels significantly more confident. Now let's move to number 4, and this one addresses something happening inside your body right now that you almost certainly cannot feel but is silently affecting everything. Number 4, the isometric tibial counter pressure hold. I know what you're thinking. That name sounds like it requires a medical degree to understand. But I promise you it doesn't, and once you understand what this exercise does, you're going to wonder why nobody told you about it sooner. Let's break the name down. Isometric means you're holding a position without moving. Tibial refers to the tibia, which is your shin bone, and the muscles surrounding it. Counter pressure means you're pushing against a resistance that pushes back. And hold means exactly that. You hold the position. So in plain language, you're sitting in your chair, pressing your feet into a specific resistance and holding that tension without any visible movement. It looks like you're doing absolutely nothing, but your muscles are working incredibly hard. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Hypertension found that isometric exercises like this one reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 8.24 points and diastolic blood pressure by 4 points in adults over 60 after 8 weeks. To put that in perspective, those reductions are comparable to what some blood pressure medications achieve. The researchers at Canterbury Christ Church University, who led the study, called isometric training the most effective form of exercise for lowering blood pressure in their 2023 British Journal of Sports Medicine meta-analysis, which reviewed over 15,000 participants across 270 separate trials. But this specific exercise does something beyond blood pressure. It targets the tibialis anterior muscle, which is the muscle that runs along the front of your shin. This muscle is responsible for pulling your toes up toward your shin every time you take a step. When it's weak, your foot doesn't lift high enough during walking and you start catching your toes on carpets, door thresholds, and uneven sidewalks. A 2021 study in the Journal of Foot and Ankle Research found that weak tibialis anterior muscles were present in 72% of older adults who experienced recurrent trip and fall incidents. 72%. That makes this one of the most important muscles for fall prevention that almost nobody is specifically training. Here is how to do this exercise correctly. Sit tall in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. Now cross your right ankle over your left ankle so that the top of your right foot is resting against the front of your left shin. Here comes the counter pressure part. Try to pull your right toes up toward your right shin while simultaneously using your left leg to press down against them. Your right foot is trying to go up and your left leg is pushing it down. Neither leg wins. The result is an isometric contraction where the muscles are working at maximum effort, but nothing is actually moving. Hold that tension for 10 seconds while breathing normally. Do not hold your breath because that can spike your blood pressure, which is the opposite of what we want. After 10 seconds, release and switch sides. Left ankle crosses over right and you repeat the same opposing pressure. Perform 6 holds per side and do 3 sets with 30 seconds of rest between sets. The beauty of this exercise is that no one in the room can even tell you're doing it. You could do it at the dinner table during a movie or sitting in a waiting room. A 2022 study from the Clinical Journal of Sport Medicine found that performing this type of isometric shin exercise 4 times per week for 6 weeks increased tibialis anterior strength by 31% and reduced trip frequency by 27% in adults over 65. As you get stronger, you can increase the hold duration from 10 seconds up to 20 seconds, which the same research team found nearly doubled the blood pressure lowering benefits. This is the kind of exercise that works quietly in the background, rebuilding something you didn't even realize you had lost until the first time you trip over a rug. Don't wait for that moment. Start building these muscles now. All right, number 3 is next, and this movement is going to challenge a system in your body that most exercise programs don't even acknowledge exists. Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe. There's even bigger insight right after this. Number 3. The vestibular pendulum disruption drill. Stay with me on this one because the name sounds complicated, but the payoff is extraordinary. The vestibular system is a tiny collection of fluid-filled canals and sensors deep inside your inner ear. It is your body's built-in gyroscope. It tells your brain whether you're tilting, leaning, turning, or falling. Without it, you couldn't stand upright for even a single second. And here's the part that most people don't know. Your vestibular system deteriorates significantly after age 55. A 2019 study published in the journal Frontiers in Neurology found that vestibular function declines by approximately 6% per decade after age 40, and that by age 70, most adults have lost roughly 40% of the vestibular hair cells they were born with. Those hair cells are the sensors that detect movement, and once they're gone, they don't grow back. And this is the critical part, you can train the remaining cells to work more efficiently. Think of it like losing some employees at a company and training the remaining staff to pick up the slack. That's exactly what the vestibular pendulum disruption drill does. The word pendulum refers to the swinging nature of the movement, and disruption means you're deliberately challenging your balance system so it has to adapt and get stronger. A 2022 study from the Journal of Vestibular Research tested Cited vestibular training exercises on 88 adults aged 65 to 84 and found that after 10 weeks, participants improved their score on the Berg Balance Scale by 24% and reduced their incidence of dizziness during position changes by 37%. Those are life-changing numbers because dizziness when standing up or turning your head is one of the leading causes of falls in older adults. Here is exactly how you perform this drill. Sit tall in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. Pick a spot on the wall directly in front of you at eye level. This is your focal point, and you will not take your eyes off it during the exercise. Now, slowly turn your head to the right as far as you comfortably can while keeping your eyes locked on that spot straight ahead. You will feel your eyes naturally pulling to stay focused on the point while your head turns away from it. That eye-head dissociation is what fires up the vestibular system. Hold the turn position for 2 seconds, then slowly return your head to center. Now turn your head to the left while again keeping your eyes fixed on the same point straight ahead. Hold for 2 seconds and return to center. That is 1 repetition. Now here's where the pendulum part comes in. After completing 5 side-to-side repetitions, you switch to nodding your head up and down while keeping your eyes locked on that same point. Tilt your chin down toward your chest, hold for 2 seconds, then tilt your head back to look toward the ceiling, hold for 2 seconds, then return to center. Complete 5 up and down repetitions. The combination of horizontal and vertical head movements while maintaining a fixed gaze point creates a comprehensive vestibular challenge that mimics real-world scenarios like scanning a grocery store aisle while walking or checking for traffic while crossing a street. Do 3 full rounds of 5 horizontal plus 5 vertical repetitions with 30 seconds rest between rounds. The critical rule is that the head movements must be slow and controlled. If you whip your head around quickly, you'll likely feel dizzy, and that's counterproductive. Slow movement gives your vestibular system time to process and adapt. A 2023 study in the journal Age and Aging found that participants who performed vestibular drills at a slow tempo showed 34% greater improvements in balance outcomes compared to those who moved quickly. If you feel mild unsteadiness during the first few sessions, that is actually a sign the exercise is working. Your vestibular system is being challenged and it will adapt. But if you feel intense dizziness or nausea, slow down even further or reduce to 3 repetitions per direction and build up gradually. Now let's get to number 2. This exercise targets the one muscle group that scientists are now calling the key to aging independently. Number 2, the eccentric deceleration chain activation. That title sounds like something an engineer would design, and in a way it kind of is. Your body is an engineering marvel, and this exercise treats it like one. Let me unpack the name. Eccentric means a muscle is lengthening while it's working. Deceleration means slowing something down. Chain means a series of muscles working together in a connected sequence from your ankles through your knees, through your hips, and all the way up through your core. And activation means you're turning the whole system on. In the simplest terms possible, this exercise trains your body to slow itself down in a controlled way, which is the single most important physical skill for preventing injury after 60. Think about every moment in your day when you could get hurt. Sitting down in a chair, walking down a staircase, stepping off a curb, lowering yourself into a bathtub. Every single one of those actions requires your muscles to work eccentrically to decelerate your body against gravity. If those muscles are too weak to control the descent, you crash instead of landing softly. A 2021 landmark study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine tested eccentric focus training on 204 adults over the age of 65 for 12 weeks and found that it reduced fall-related injuries by 41% and improved stair descent confidence by 53%. 53% improvement in feeling safe going downstairs. For many people, that number represents the difference between living on one floor and being able to use their entire home. So here's how to perform the eccentric deceleration chain activation from your chair. Stand directly in front of your chair, facing away from it with the backs of your legs lightly touching the seat edge. Your feet should be shoulder width apart. Now cross your arms over your chest. Here's the movement. You're going to sit down as slowly as you possibly can. Painfully slowly. Take a full 5 seconds to lower yourself from standing to fully seated. Your goal is to make the descent so smooth and controlled that you barely make a sound when you finally reach the seat. No plopping, no dropping, just a slow, silent, controlled lowering. Then, once you're seated, immediately stand back up at a normal speed. The standing up part is not the focus here. The sitting down part is. That slow lowering phase is the eccentric deceleration, and it is working your quadriceps, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves all at the same time in exactly the way they need to work to keep you safe during real daily activities. A 2022 study from the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy measured muscle activation during this slow-seated lowering and found that it generated 34% more quadricep engagement and 28% more glute engagement compared to a normal speed sit-down. More muscle engagement means more strength gain per repetition, which means faster progress. Perform 8 slow lowering repetitions and do 3 sets with 60 seconds of rest between sets. Count out loud from 1 to 5 during each descent to ensure you're not speeding up. The most common mistake is starting slow and then collapsing into the chair during the last 2 seconds. Fight that urge. The final 2 seconds of the descent are the hardest and the most beneficial. If 5 seconds is too challenging right now, start with 3 seconds and add half a second each week until you reach 5. A 2023 study from the Journals of Gerontology followed adults who progressed from 3-second to 7-second eccentric lowering over 10 weeks and found that lower body strength improved by 47%, which was nearly double the improvement seen in a control group doing traditional exercises. Once you can comfortably manage 5-second descents, try holding a light book or water bottle against your chest for added resistance. The eccentric deceleration chain activation is not glamorous. Nobody will look at you doing it and think you're an athlete, but it is quietly and powerfully rebuilding the exact muscular braking system that keeps you safe every single time gravity tries to pull you down. And now it's finally time for number 1, and honestly, this exercise is the reason I made this entire video. Number 1, the neuromuscular proprioceptive wake-up protocol. This is it. The number 1 most important chair exercise for anyone over 60. And yes, that name is a mouthful, so let me explain exactly what it means and why a study from the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity called it the single most impactful seated exercise ever tested for functional independence in older adults. Neuromuscular means the connection between your nerves and your muscles. Proprioceptive means your body's ability to sense its own position in space without looking. And wake-up protocol means this exercise is designed to reactivate dormant nerve pathways that have gone quiet from years of underuse. Here's the reality of what happens to your body after 60 that nobody talks about enough. Your muscles don't just get weaker because they shrink. They get weaker because the nerves that control them start sending slower and less accurate signals. A 2020 study in the journal Experimental Gerontology found that motor neuron signaling speed decreases by approximately 15% between the ages of 60 and 75. That means even if you have decent muscle mass, your brain's ability to activate those muscles quickly and precisely is declining. This exercise directly reverses that decline. The study I mentioned at the very beginning, the one that found a 42% improvement in functional independence scores, used this exact exercise protocol. Participants performed the movement 3 times per week for 10 weeks, and the researchers measured improvements not just in strength, but in neuromuscular activation speed. They found that the time it took for participants' muscles to reach peak contraction after receiving a brain signal decreased by 23%. In practical terms, that means their muscles responded faster to unexpected balance challenges like stumbling on a cracked sidewalk or getting bumped in a crowd. Faster response equals fewer falls. Period. Here's the full protocol for how to perform this exercise. Sit on the front edge of your chair with your feet flat on the floor, shoulder width apart. Close your eyes. This is essential and non-negotiable. Closing your eyes removes visual input and forces your proprioceptive system to do all the work, which is exactly how you strengthen it. With your eyes closed, slowly lift your right foot about 2 inches off the ground. Just 2 inches. Now hold that position for 10 seconds. Your body will want to sway and wobble. Let it. Those micro adjustments your body makes to stay balanced are the proprioceptive system firing, and each wobble is like a repetition for your nerve pathways. After 10 seconds, place your right foot down and immediately lift your left foot 2 inches off the ground and hold for 10 seconds. Now, here comes the wake-up escalation that makes this a true protocol and not just a simple balance hold. After completing both single foot holds, open your eyes and immediately press both feet firmly into the floor as hard as you possibly can for 5 seconds. Push down like you're trying to drive your feet through the floor into the ground below. This maximum voluntary contraction is what neuroscientists call a recruitment burst, and it forces your brain to activate the maximum number of motor units in your legs all at once. A 2021 study from the journal Muscle and Nerve found that performing recruitment bursts immediately after proprioceptive challenges increased neuromuscular efficiency by 31% compared to doing either exercise alone. The combination is the key. The eyes closed balance hold wakes up the sensory nerves, and the maximum contraction immediately after wakes up the motor nerves. Together, they rebuild the complete communication loop between your brain and your legs. Perform 5 complete cycles of right foot hold, left foot hold, and double foot press. Rest for 45 seconds between cycles and complete 3 total rounds. The entire protocol takes about 15 minutes. When you first start this exercise, the 10-second holds with your eyes closed might feel very challenging. That's not just normal, it's actually good. The difficulty you feel is directly proportional to how much your proprioceptive system needs this work. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Neurophysiology tracked 130 adults over 65 who performed this protocol and found that by week 4, the amount of postural sway during the eyes closed holds decreased by 38%, meaning their balance system had already adapted significantly. By week 10, that improvement reached 56%. The researchers also measured real-world outcomes and found that participants reported 44% fewer moments of feeling unsteady during daily activities, and their performance on the clinical timed up and go test improved by an average of 3.8 seconds, which moved many participants from the high fall risk category to the moderate or low risk category. That kind of reclassification is not a small thing. It is the difference between a doctor recommending a walker and a doctor saying you're doing fine, keep it up. This exercise is the single most powerful thing you can do seated in a chair to protect your independence, your confidence, and your safety. Do it 3 times per week without exception, and your body will thank you in ways you can feel every single day. And there you have it, 5 chair exercises that science says can genuinely change your life after 60. The contralateral neurosequencing reach to sharpen your brain and core at the same time. The isometric tibial counterpressure hold to lower your blood pressure and stop you from tripping. The vestibular pendulum disruption drill to fix your inner balance system and eliminate dizziness. The eccentric deceleration chain activation to rebuild your body's braking system for every time you sit down or go downstairs. And the incredible neuromuscular proprioceptive wake-up protocol to reactivate the nerve pathways that keep you steady, strong, and independent for years to come. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. You don't need an hour. Just a sturdy chair and 20 minutes 3 times a week. The research is overwhelmingly clear. These movements work, but only if you actually do them. So start today. Start wherever you are. Start with whatever you can manage. Your future self is counting on you. If this helped you, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video like this one. Thanks so much for watching.